Hello, folks. Nice to see you on Tuesday Night Chat. Beekeepers talking to beekeepers about bee. So we have some people already in the chat. Pennsylvania, hi. How you doing? I hope you're getting rain. It's coming my way for sure. Hey, Bundy, Robert Suzuki, howdy. How do we need to jump on this? No, you do not. You can stay in the chat. We have special guest speakers tonight. So I'm not going to let other people in the studio when our guest speakers are on tonight. Hi, Kimmy. Hi, Bundy. So my little sidekick, Tom, is not here tonight. I don't know where he is. Hey, Unc. Nice to see you. I don't know where Tom is. He's taken off. He's taken off this week. Hey, Mike. He's taken off this week and next week. So, and I didn't do anything about the echo in my studio. I'm sorry. I just couldn't work on it this past week. So, hi, John. Yes, we're doing well. Waiting for that rain to come. Man, it's hot. All right. So we can real quick admin stuff. Remember, questions are all in caps. So since I'm running the chat myself tonight, it's just much easier when we can see, they stand out. So we have some honey judges from the National American Honey Show Training Council, Apiculture Beekeeping. They're honey judges, and they go all over the country. I think might be all over the world. I'm not exactly sure, but so our first guest, my girlfriend who brought all this together is Julie, and she's out of Miami, I want to say. So hold on, I have them on my phone here. I'm going to read off the bio. So Julie started beekeeping in 2017 on the roof of her home in South Beach. She now continues her beekeeping on a farm in Fort Lauderdale, okay, Florida. She is the secretary of Broward Beekeepers Association, a level 2 honey sensory graduate by the Italian National Registry of Experts. So all of that will make sense to you after this chat. She is working towards becoming a judge with the American Honey Show Council. So she's one of our guests tonight. Our second guest is Heather, and she started beekeeping in January of 2021 during COVID. She continues to grow her knowledge about beekeeping and the use of products from the hive. Heather currently belongs to the Broward Beekeepers Association, a level 1 honey sensory graduate by the Italian National Registry of Experts. Oh, wow. Okay. That's cool. Same as Julie. And is a judge for the American Honey Show Training Council, working towards her senior judgeship. Very cool. And then we have Adriana. Adriana is a pastry chef with over 20 years of experience, specialized in honey from both apis and stingless bees. Interesting. Combining science and molecular cuisine techniques. I don't think I said that right. Adriana creates innovative textures and flavors in contemporary gastronomy. Jeez. Big word. She holds a level 1 honey sensory certification from Italian National Registrar and is currently working toward becoming a certified honey judge with the American Honey Show Council. Very cool. So we will bring our guests onto the stage. There they are. Hello, ladies. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, Nancy. How are you?
Okay, great. You can hear me and I can hear you. All right. So sorry for fumbling up some of those bios. I didn't read them ahead of time, which I guess I should have, but very interesting. And some of that, I think some of us didn't understand. So that will be cool. You guys go and just tell us what all of that meant. So again, questions in all caps. I am going to go off stage, but I will be able to read the chat box and interject with questions. All right. Take it away, Nate.
Do you want to go first? Do you want to talk about like how you got into? Well,
Sure. Go for it.
so
How did we meet?
how do we meet?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Julie. I'm Heather, and this is Adriana. Hi. And so we all met actually at the same class. We took a class at one of the bee colleges in which the American Honey Show Training Council was doing a more intensive workshop about learning how to be judges. The three of us bonded during that and have been on this path ever since of learning more about honey, beeswax, all the products from the hive, and really just growing through this experience.
Yeah, and really discovering, whether or not everyone here is a beekeeper. We enjoy getting kind of hands-on and being in the hive, but then what do you do with everything after? There's a much bigger world than I think that most people think or have been exposed to. So we're really here to help everybody explore on this fun adventure.
Yes. You guys said everything already. Okay.
So all of us took, and there is some mention of, so these are two different associations. The trainings that were discussed in our bios are through two different training associations. So one is learning how to describe honeys, and that's through the Italian Registrar of Experts. But what we're going to be talking about today is really all of the work that we do with the American Honey Show Training Council and how we've grown our knowledge and expertise since then. One thing that's been really cool about this journey is learning, when you go to bee colleges or conferences of all sorts, there's a lot about the animal husbandry of beekeeping, and what I was interested in is what next, right? Because there's so many products that come from the hive between the honey, the propolis, and the beeswax, and so it was really interesting to look at this. As we started to work with the Honey Show Training Council, we actually started to learn even that honey shows, honey competitions have been going on for over 700 years. It actually started in Conway, Wales, where King Edward I, there was a specific date, it's in September, the date escapes me, but he removed the taxes from honey. So honey and beeswax hundreds of years ago had a lot more value because everything that was used for sweetness, it was not like we had granulated sugar everywhere. Everybody used honey.
Honey, and then beeswax really for candles, for lights.
Right.
So they were two very important ingredients, in the life back then. So I think they can even pay their taxes or pay use it almost as like a barter or currency, honey and beeswax and things like that. So it was a very high value prized skill. And all the products were very important, much more valued, I guess.
Right. And so what started off as like competitions with three villages, through time turned into honey and beeswax shows. And so the Welsh honey judging training was done in England and brought over to the United States in 2001. And since then it's morphed. As Americans, we like our independence. We like to make sure that we're paying attention to all the nuances. And so it really was modified a little bit and became the American Honey Show Training Council that has taken over all of these standards. It has been closely modified to the Welsh judging system because the Welsh judging system has been known to just be like some of the highest levels of making sure all the standards, consistency, uniformity is followed. So the American Honey Show Training Council modeled much of the work that we do after that particular system.
Mm-hmm.
So,
so I think something that's what impressed me, at least when I started getting into the honey judging or experienced the honey judging, is what is it all about? And because I hadn't honestly even been to a honey competition show before, full disclosure, I was just more interested in it. So I kind of jumped right in, but I was very impressed, and I'm still continue to be impressed about how they're really very strict, and it's very important to be a professional, where it's very much about, you wear like the white lab coats, so everyone is clean, they're nicely dressed. You know, it's a very professional atmosphere. Everyone takes it very seriously. And so it's also about the system as far as like training, and then the system of judging. You know, it's a very systematic approach about it, which I think is very important, because, you know, beekeeping is, it's all over the world, but it still is a small community. So we want to make sure, I know everyone takes it very, very seriously. You know, there's a lot of blind, nobody knows whose entries or which or anything. So they really pride themselves on fair judging, and making sure that there is a systematic approach. So that way, and also making it clear for entrants to make sure that everyone is entering and has, everyone has a fair shot to show off their good work.
And the main goal of this is not only are people entering, but our goal within the judging isn't just, we're not judging just to be judgy, right? So we really want to make sure this is an educational experience. Like if people are entering, there are comment cards. Not only are we very structured in the judging, but we will give feedback on every single entry that people give. So we can teach them how to better their products that they may be using for the home or selling, that we're making sure that they know about food safety, because we want to make sure that no matter what is produced from the hive, it's something that would be consumable and safe. And we also want to make sure that people walk away learning something. Whether you win a ribbon or not, there will always be education given to every single entry that's put into a honey show. We are here to make sure that we're making beekeepers as good as they can possibly be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have to say that when I started at the program, I was more focused on the culinary part of it, and that the opportunity I have to learn about like candles and wax and being exposed to much more than only the food items. It's amazing. I'm learning so much, and the honey itself, the varieties that we have in the U.S. like we receive honey from different states, and we are exposed to all that. It's amazing. For me, it's much more than I was expecting.
Yes. Yeah, so it's really, even if I do. Sorry, Nancy, what were you saying?
Oh, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I don't
Okay.
know. Yeah, no, we're good. Go ahead.
No, so I guess, one thing, obviously there are different, you can enter in every single honey show that you enter, there's going to be different rule sets for it. They're all systematic, and it's very clear exactly what you need to enter, everything, but different shows will have different requirements. So it's very important to follow the rules at your local show. And so that's something we really do want to emphasize, yes, food safety, super important. Yeah. And then also following the rules, looking at the rules of whatever show that you're interested in entering, is really, really also another thing that we really want to emphasize.
Right. And when we talk about the rules, when you start to look at the rules for the honey show, you're going to see there's different areas of rules to pay attention to. I highly encourage everybody sometimes you have an exhibit you want to do. So you look at the rules only for that exhibit, but you have to pay attention to the general rules that are at the front of the rule set, as well as the rules for your specific category. There are some things, because it's a general rule for multiple categories, it would be in the general rules at the beginning before you get into the category specific. So you do want to look at the packet thoroughly, because whatever rules are put in that packet are also part of the standard that the judges will be looking at, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Mm-hmm. And different shows and when we say different requirements, that might be something like one show may tell you that you need 6 of something, another show may tell you that you need 2. So So,
You can use it.
so for example, there was a show we did where an item there was supposed to be 6 of a specific item, and I later found out that it was Adriana had been the person who was the contestant, and it was supposed to have 6 of the item, and there was only 5. So there were definitely points knocked off for that. And then afterwards, I found out that she was, as she was preparing her entry, she thought she needed 3 to 6, so she decided to eat one of them. So just look at your entries very closely and make sure that they're following the rules.
Yeah, the piece that I ate was not like looking nice as I was expecting. It was a little ugly. So I was okay, can I have this one as a snack? Now I know we need to read the rules.
Read the rules.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I think,
the rules are different from show to show.
Correct.
Yes.
Well, some are.
Okay. Interesting.
Some shows, for example, in this particular show, it requested 6 of one item. Another show might say you need 3 of that item.
Mm-hmm.
So, you don't want to assume that just because you had done a show previously, that what you had done in that previous show was exact. It's little differences like that, but they do make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I think those differences, yes, it is, sometimes people, you can be, oh, but this show is this and that show is that, but it's really about making it clear to the entrants of exactly how it is going to be judged. So that way it's really just a good marker where, because all the honeys are going to taste, a little different. All of the entries of cakes will look a little different, so they just want to make sure that they're leveling the playing field as much as possible. So that way everyone really understands what's expected of them. So that way everyone is following it, and then that way they can put their best products forward. And then also a lot of the rules also about, food safety or, presentation wise, I think is also very important, because even if you are selling, jars of honey at the farmer's market on the weekends, a lot of it does have to do maybe with the cleanliness of the jar. Are you filling all of the jars the same? That's also just a presentation wise, if you are in that avenue, that's also very important, because can you imagine, trying to sell honey and they're all unevenly poured and they're kind of smudgy and there's a dog hair inside or something, that's not very appetizing for the consumer. It's maybe not safe also to consume, but it's also not appetizing, maybe. So it's really trying to really level up and keep a high standard for everyone in every entry, which I think is very important. Circling back into the history of bee products or products from the hive, keeping it at a higher level or even pushing it a little bit higher again, which I think is wonderful for everyone.
And I think one thing that's really important to know about the shows from the American Honey Show Training Council, we are judging against the standard. So if we're looking at the best possible product that you can provide, we are working backwards. Okay, so it's not against the field. There can be shows where nobody gets a first, second, or third.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, well, there's 6 entries, so we're just going to look at who had the best of these 6 entries. We're going to look at what the product should look like and work backwards from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brutz English is one of our senior judges and one of the heads of the American Honey Show Training Council, and he always likes to give the example. If you went to the grocery store and you were buying cans of peas, would you buy the can of peas that was dented and had a little bit of a ripped label and some dust on the top of it, or would you buy the can of peas that had the perfect label, was nice and shiny, and what would you lean towards? So we're always looking at what the standard is, and that's something that's I don't think people always understand the first show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also not saying that to intimidate people, because there are people who come in their first show and definitely walk out with lots of ribbons. Mm-hmm. So it's just about paying attention to those details, and those are in the rules. It'll tell you, cleanliness, uniformity. It'll tell you the things that we're looking for.
Hi, James. James came on too. Okay. We have Kimmy in the chat, and she does submit to some shows. She said ISBA, but I'm not sure what that is. What the ISBA, what conference or what area of the country that is. I'm not sure, but all right. You can continue. Go ahead.
Was there did anybody have any questions before?
No, not yet. They're talking amongst themselves. State of Illinois. Kimmy submitted to state of Illinois. Okay.
Fantastic. I haven't made it that far north for any of our shows yet. I've stayed mostly in the south, but
okay,
we'll get there eventually.
We will.
Would you like us? So we brought 3 jars, and I'm not sure if it'll show up on camera, but we can see.
Sure.
So sure. When we're looking at honey, there are 3 major categories that we have. We tend to have light honey, dark honey. Sorry, light, amber, and dark. So anything this shade or this. So these are grading glasses. Anything that's this shade or lighter would be in light. Anything that's this shade or darker would be in dark. Anything in between would be amber. And so when you are checking in honeys, if the secretary who is taking in the entry isn't sure, they may show you these grading glasses and say, do you want to move your category? It is one category that in many shows, it is the one thing we will move. Like if it looks like it belongs to another category. The only downside to that is if somebody has has a dark honey and an amber honey, and they're both actually ambers or darks, right? Because you can only have 1 entry per category. But there are grading glasses, and they will always be available at the shows to check in on if you're not sure. Okay. So typically, I didn't print out the comic card. So typically, I'll just kind of run through these. I'm going to turn on the light. So there are a few things that are very helpful. Having a very bright flashlight. A lot of times when we start looking at the honey, the first thing we're going to do is review the outside. So we're going to look for anything obvious like smeared honey, smudges, anything like that. I'm going to turn this on and hopefully not blind the camera.
Yes, these lights are very, very powerful, so they can see through some very, very opaque honey.
So I'm going to try and do this to the outside. I'm not quite sure if you can see it. Maybe not.
So in person, also if you are thinking about entering honey like this, you can take a regular.
Yeah, we can see that. Sure. Yeah, we can see that you can look right through that jar. Absolutely. Yeah.
And we would be looking, you could look through the honey this way to see if there's bubbles, if there's debris. We would be looking for smudges and honey, like I said, on the outside. So we're going to review the outside of the jar first and foremost. Is there lint? What do we see? So we're looking at this, and then I can look through here. And this particular one, you can't see it on camera because it's too fine of a detail, but it almost looks like starlight. And I did pour this jar this morning specifically so the bubbles would show up. We do want the honey to look clear, and there's different things we can do to remove bubbles in the honey, and I'll get to that in a moment. But for this one, there are quite a few bubbles. This one, there is a few bubbles, but not many. And this one also just lights up like starlight because there's a million bubbles. There's a million bubbles in there, but it's hard to see. I know from the camera.
But if anyone at home wants to try it with their own honey, it's very interesting. Where you really can't see it. It's very difficult to see just with your eyes, or or just with the daylight or regular light. But once you put even your phone flashlight.
Another thing that you can notice is like the crystals, like tiny crystals, like the honey is starting to crystallize.
Correct.
Which is still good honey.
Yeah, and actually, quality honey will crystallize. I think sometimes people think that crystallized honey is bad honey. That's not true. Adulterated honey won't crystallize. Pure honey will. So if you've got honey that's crystallized, that is showing that you've got a high quality honey. Yeah. But in a show, unless it's a creamed honey, which requires that crystallization process, you don't want to see any crystals in the honey jars themselves. After we review the outside of the bottle, and we look for all of these smudges, and I do want to say your phone flashlight can help some, but it's really not the best. You really want to have a high power. There are people that'll tell me, like, I used my phone and then I'll pull out my
and try it.
Right. Okay. We can see that. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
But if you just want to try it out, go for it. Just to see, okay, I don't see any bubbles. At least put your phone light. Maybe you'll see a few, but then if you get one of these high-powered ones, you may see quite a few more.
And these are expensive. I think these were under $20, but they were. And this is by Nebo. I am not a paid endorser in any way, shape, or form. It's just my favorite. In fact, I have
three. Question.
Oh,
I have a question that popped up, and I don't know if this is something that you're going to address later, but can you folks at the judging, in the judging department, tell if honey has been adulterated? Is that something you can see in your judging?
I don't know that you would always be able to see it, but it would change the moisture content. It would change the flavor profile. Like, there is a point where we get to taste the honey, and sometimes when you're taking the rod, we have tasting rods, so I should probably say that. Like, we don't actually touch the honey. That's a glass rod. It is really hard to see, but there's a glass rod that we would use for tasting the honey.
Plus, whatever is when they sign
they have to sign an affidavit that it's honey that they produced in their yard. So no honey should.
Okay.
Yeah, so it has to be something that's produced by the exhibitor. It can't be honey that was ever purchased.
And we do carry things to measure like moisture content and things within honey. So sometimes if it's adulterated, it looks, it runs a little differently. So, if there's anything kind of off, especially if the judges are looking at how many honeys a lot of times in a show. So sometimes if you see something that's a little off, you call another judge, everyone will make those decisions and run extra tests for things to make sure, because again, we do want, it's about elevating the craft. So,
but it's hard. It would be hard.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll just stick with that.
Yes.
Hi, Melissa. We had another one come in the chat. We have about 21 people in the chat right now. The other thing that I was going to mention is you're kind of like the camera is kind of stuttering a little bit. So I don't know if there's some things that you could pull off your router, like different phones and different things you could pull off so that we don't lose your connection with the StreamYard. So I don't know if that's behind the scenes, but
it might be. We're in South Florida, and of course there's thunderstorming outside. Unfortunately, that as well. So,
okay, go ahead.
Were there any other questions?
Wait, one just came in. It's not in all caps, but I'll read it anyway, Dodd. What's the ideal moisture content that you look for?
Under 18.6.
18.6?
Under 18.6.
Okay.
So anything under that, we should be fine.
Okay.
And so the next thing we would do, just so you know, if you're entering honey. So after we do everything with the outside, we check for smudges, we check for bubbles, we check for pet hair, like anything you would say, any debris. The next thing we're going to do is lint. You can see lint on the inside of the honey. The next thing we would do, I would be wearing gloves if we were doing a show. I do have that in my pocket. But the next thing we would do is we're going to get real close. And as I crack the lid, I'm going to, like, this one's tight, so I know this one's dirty because it has probably honey around the edges, so it's hard to, you can feel it kind of sticking. I'm going to be very close to it so I can smell the honey to see if there's any off aromas. And then I'm going to look at the cap. And when we talk about off aromas, what we're talking about is that there's excess. It's not the characteristics of the honey. Lots of honeys have lots of different aromas. This would be things like smoke, metal, something like rubber, things like that. And so the next thing, as I'm looking at this, I am going to,
or even fermentation.
or fermentation, correct. So I'm trying to do this. Oh, this light is way too bright. So we would always be looking at the inner airspace, which is above the fill line. I don't know if we can put this closer to the camera. When you're looking, do you want to try to put it closer to the camera? This is actually overfilled. We want to make sure that we're getting close to the fill as appropriate. Can you point to where the fill line is? It's over.
Yes. Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's overfilled.
Here. So you can see what
This one is underfilled.
because this is the fill line here.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure we don't want to cheat our customer. We don't want to lose our product. So
Right.
if you're putting it exactly to the fill line, you are making sure. I don't know if you can see that. It's exactly at where this bubble line is. Yes.
Yeah,
So
we're
right.
having you keep freezing up with the
Oh, yeah.
camera. I mean the audio, the video keeps freezing up on
Okay.
your end. So yeah, but
Okay.
we got the gist of it. Like, so every jar that I fill, there is some sort of line, some
Yes.
indicator on that jar. And that's when I turn my tap. When it gets to almost there, I turn my tap off, my gate, and then I'm not submitting this, but I turn my gate, and then there's just a little bit of exit, till I move that jar out and put another jar under. So I'm trying to get as close to that line as possible. So one, I'm not giving it away, and I'm not jipping anybody. But yeah.
Correct. And so that's one of the standards we're looking for as well. And then we would look at the inside airspace, which is from the fill line to the top. Is there any dust or lint or pet hair? We would look, and I just say that because sometimes, people who keep bees, I would assume most of them like animals, right? Because you're keeping animals as with your bees. But when there's cats and dogs, we need to be mindful because sometimes we do find pet hair on the top or inside the honey. And that would be something that we would be reduced. We would also be looking for foam and bubbles. So if you have foam or bubbles, you can take like a skewer and pull those foam or bubbles off.
Maybe just a toothpick.
Yeah. I just like skewers because they're a little bit longer. So I'm not, if I'm trying to like keep as much contact away from the glass as possible, the skewer kind of gives me a little bit more space away from the rim of it. If you have a lot of bubbles in your honey, which you can heat and vibration are wonderful. So, I mean, we live in Florida, but anywhere you could do this, it may need to ride a little longer, but you can put your honey in the back seat of your car on the floorboard, please. And you can ride around for like a week or so. And between your driving and the heat of the day, all those bubbles will rise up. But if you pour your honey further out, the bubbles have a chance to rise on their own as well. Am I missing anything you can think of?
Well, I guess to kind of circle back, I mean, even just the jars that you use and the lids that you use is also something that is in the rules. So that way, again, it's just keeping a uniform plain for everyone. So that way, everyone has the same jars. You can do the gold lids or you can do the white lids,
right?
But all that is in the rule set. So
and you would need to use a classic or a queen's jar. If you bring a mason jar, we can't judge that equally. The thickness of the jar would change the function of the honey. So being able to see through it clearly is something we should be mindful for.
So we do have another question that came in. Hi, Grammy. A couple other people are bouncing in. Does the 18.6 percentage get a higher score than anything lower?
No, you would want it under. You would want it under 18.6 because over 18.6 we start to see more opportunity for fermentation.
Okay, so that's why the 18. There was another question. 18.6. It's because when you go higher than that, you're looking at fermentation.
Correct.
Yeah, you got too much moisture in. Yeah, so you want to bring it down to at least. I think Kimmy said hers was coming in at 18 when she got hers tested. So,
and
yeah.
And we may see them at 17, we may see them at 15. You know, you're going to see a lot thicker of a viscosity at that point. But when we take the honey rods and we do actually like taste the honey, that's one of the things we're looking for. Like after we assure all the cleanliness, we will take the tasting rod, put it in the honey, we'll pull it up to see how quickly it drips. If it runs really fast, or you can see it starting to like drip and bead, we know that it's got a much higher moisture content, and that's when would most likely pull out the refractometer to check the moisture content. So it's not that it has to be 18.6. You want it under that, because
under that. Okay.
Just anything under that, because over that we're looking at fermentation.
Do you get higher points if you're at 16, say, or no? Okay. Just get below that 18.6 and you can move on. Okay. Gotcha.
Correct.
Cool.
So, you know, and we're just talking about honey, like extracted honey category, but in the bigger shows, there's almost 90 categories. So there are categories for every type of bee product you can make. There's even for people who don't keep bees but are interested, you can write bee poetry, there's bee jokes, there's artwork, there's needlecraft, photography.
Is a very beautiful one.
And there's many types of photography. So there's like essay, there's black and white, there's macro, there's scenic. There's a lot of different categories.
And even mead, if there's anyone that likes to get into that fermentation.
Correct.
Then there are some mead, quite a few mead categories usually. So, which is a totally different skill.
Other types of drinks too, not only mead.
There's non-alcoholic drinks, and that you can make with honey. There's the mead, and then in some of the bigger ones, there's even like cocktail sets. So you can make mixed drinks and bring in like a whole cocktail set and give the recipe for the judge to make your honey cocktail. So there's lots of opportunities. Beeswax is there's so many different beeswax categories, and beeswax is, I think for me, something I find it's something I'm not as well. I haven't practiced as much as I've practiced some of the other things, so I'm always in awe of people who can do beeswax well. That's
okay.
Yeah, and beeswax also will have certain dimensions, so we can shine light through it, see if there's any debris in the wax. We're looking for your skill in pouring the wax, the color. There's woodworking, there's artwork. I mean, there's so many different categories that basically there is an opportunity for almost everybody to enter something.
And of all ages too.
Yes.
You know, there's kids that enter, there's, you know, grandparents that enter, there's, you know, partners that enter. It's kind of all, you know, there's an opportunity for everyone to get involved and to make a fun benefit out of it. But one thing that's also very big is the culinary aspect of it. So it's very, the amount of entries and tables and everything that we see for baking, which Adriana is a chef, so she really knows more of the details on.
And every time I enjoy, like you see from different states, they have like different items, and it's always a surprise, and it's amazing how they can get creative with the baking goods. Right.
Which some are like standard set recipes that you have to follow, but some of them you can get more creative with.
Yes.
So I don't know if you have any tips for the bakers and confectionery.
One thing that I always when I'm working with honey, I avoid like heating when so for example, if I need to make a cake, yes, I have to use, because that's gonna bring me the moisture content, and the texture is gonna be good too. The honey is gonna help the cake, right? With the for that, it's better to use the darker honey when you're baking.
Yeah.
And when you're doing like just finalizing.
Like a finalizing.
Yeah,
you can drizzle something on top.
So you avoid like heating, and you use like the lighter. It's more like floral notes, and so not heating. You're gonna keep all the molecules, the lighter molecules into the honey. So heating, you're gonna lose all that. So
Yeah, a lot of times people will enter and it'll say light. I use my floral springtime honey in this dessert, and unfortunately, when you bake, all those lighter floral notes dissipate the second you put it in the oven. There's also, like, for people who do canning, and this goes back to the food safety where we were talking about like the proper canning techniques. But we even do jams, jellies, barbecue sauces, spicy condiments, non-spicy condiments. It's not in the condiments category, but we do infused honey. So if people are spicy infused and non-infused. So if you like to play around, if you're a gardener and you've got things growing, or if you're an herbalist or you like teas, there's lots of ways you can infuse your honeys and then enter those. So, I mean, there's so many opportunities for people to get creative and really reap the benefit of their hives.
Okay, we do have another question here. I did want to remind folks that we're going to have a giveaway for the Apitabs, a 10-pack Apitab from Shenandoah Bee Supply is supplying those. So anybody that wants to get in on the giveaway, the free giveaway, stay tuned for that. How long does it take to become a honey judge? John is asking.
Okay, so first step is that you take the honey, I forget,
Like the intro level 1 class,
Right.
that are offered at many different states and different shows, you know, which I saw you had the website up earlier. So if anyone is more interested, they can check out the website and see if there's one near them, which is usually during a honey show, which is just 1 or 2 days. 2 days.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah, so you start there, and then it depends on how active you are. There are a lot of, not a lot, but you know, they want to make sure that everyone that enters into the program, they are well versed kind of in all aspects of entering the honey shows, so that way you understand what it's like to enter the show and what to look for in the process and everything. And then also on the backside to have a chance to judge and work with senior judges,
Right.
In different categories.
So for your after you take the first class, you become a honey judge candidate, and so you're working for usually a year, maybe 2 years. It depends on how many honey shows you have the opportunity and the time to work. But you're going to usually steward for 3 shows, which stewarding is a position where you're working with the judges. You're assisting the secretary before the show. And that's taking entries as they're getting checked into their place in the show. And then once the show is done taking entries, you're working with the judge and basically shadowing the judge and learning how to judge different products, assist with comment cards, assist with whatever the judge needs so that they can judge quicker, and you're learning as you're going along. In addition to stewarding, you need to secretary for 2 shows. Secretarying is the entire intake process, which if you love things that are attention to detail oriented and are a good multitasker, I mean, I personally love secretarying. I think it's a rush, especially because you've got a short time frame to get everything in, make sure every number matches, that everything is blind. I mean, I love secretarying. I can't say enough about that. The secretary is really the mechanism that makes the honey show work so smoothly. So you want a secretary twice, and then after you have at least those 5 opportunities, you would.
The points, right?
Yes, you also have to enter, and I think it's 50 points.
Okay.
For the first level of test of judging. So you get your 50 points. And so what the points are is if you get a first place ribbon, that's 6 points. Second place is 5 points. You know, work backwards down to 6 points. 6th place is 1 point. So you need to have 1 in honey shows to be able to sit for your judge's exam. Then you sit for your judge's exam, which is a practical. They'll have you work, they'll run you through the process and have you judge things and have an oral and have an exam. After you become a judge, then if you decide you're going for the senior judgeship, I believe in this one, I have to admit I'm a newer judge. I've been a judge less than a year. You have to judge in 24 shows. You have to have 150 points from your honey shows. You have to secretariat 2 shows. You have to organize 2 state shows or higher. Actually, I can see on the screen. I can see you're pulling it up.
Yeah.
But it can be up to a 5-year process to become a senior honey judge.
Okay.
But you're really you don't that makes sense. You want to be well versed. If you're going to be a senior judge and people are coming to you with questions, you want to have that knowledge. But it makes sense to have so many opportunities for education. And so the kit that you're showing, that's where the grading glasses. That's where we hold the grading glasses and the tasting rods. So that's right there.
Oh, okay.
And the interesting thing about those tasting rods is that they are the exact dimension. The small end is the exact dimension of a cell in comb honey, so that if somebody enters comb honey, we don't have to tear apart the entire comb. We can puncture a single cell.
Oh, cool. Right. The little ends. Oh, cool. Right.
So one is flat for being able to taste the honey, and the other end could be used for the comb.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I've just jumped on here. I don't know. We don't have to really stay on this, but yeah. Cool.
No, but I think it's great because I know, both of you ladies have entered a lot of entries in a bunch of different categories. So I don't know, and I know both of you ladies are very good at what you do. So I know, and especially Adriana, you're a professional chef. So, but I know it seems like you've also learned a lot going through this process, where it's helped you actually, with your baking.
Yeah, during the process of preparing, you learn much more than at the judging, learning with the judge, like stewarding, right? Because you have to understand the process of creating the product. So I learned a lot. And don't forget to read the rules.
Read the rules. I would say my take on entering in a honey show is very much, and I said this at the last show I judged at, and one of the other judges laughed. I think the best way for me, is to approach it like throwing spaghetti at the wall. I'm just going to try everything possible. I think people are fearful that, like, what if I'm not a master, or what if I don't have a lot of experience in this? But this is how we learn, right? Mm-hmm. So when it comes time to doing honey shows, I've entered probably 20 plus categories in almost every show that I've done. I'm really like, okay, how many things can I practice and get skilled in? And like you were talking about baking, I have a background in baking as well. And so that lent to feeling more comfortable in those categories, where wax is something I'm still growing in. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to lie, my first beeswax block that I poured, it sounds funny, but I was terrified of that thing. But it's just, all you can do is try. And I poured it, I entered it, I got 4th place. I was ecstatic. I was like, yep, I will take 4th place. Because I think the best way to learn is trying. So just try everything. The worst case scenario is that you're going to get a comment card with tips of how to do it better last time. That is next time. That is the worst case scenario, is that you walk out with education.
Right. Now, somebody here, Pennsylvania, is asking about the flavor. Do you judge honey by plant flavor? So this is honey tasting, I guess, more. And I don't know. I think we're going to have that as a different talk. But the question is, do you judge honey by plant flavor like clover, or are they all grouped together?
So the only thing that is judged purely by flavor is black jar. So black jar is where everybody submits like 2 to 4 ounces of their honey. We do not look at anything in that honey. And we've had people that have been a little bit of jokesters, put little plastic cockroaches in just make it. Some people have a sense of humor. But really and truly, we may have 200 black jars, and the only thing we're looking for there is flavor. It's really difficult in the United States. I think it's rare that any of us have a true monofloral source.
There's only a few pockets around, I feel like, that you can really find.
Or maybe it might be like when you're talking about tupelo or sourwood, you may have like a 2-week block where that full of honey is that particular varietal. And there are categories for varietals, okay, but most of them are grouped by light, amber, and dark. And then there's the varietals, and the varietals would be, more specific to what that particular honey is. Did that answer the question?
Yeah.
So if you're in black jar, you have the best tasting honey. Period. Which is a very big entry. I mean, there's mountains of black jars usually at the show. So it's a very big. I mean, even just to place at all again in these shows is a big deal, because not every. I mean, some categories, there's no first, there's no second. Sometimes there's a fourth. Not, it really means something. It's not, oh, I'm going to enter this one because no one ever enters it. That doesn't mean that. It doesn't guarantee anything.
Right.
So,
and there have been people who have won black jar that it was their very first year beekeeping ever.
Grammy, Lisa on our chat, she won 3rd place in the black jar last weekend, or she's been winning quite a bit here with her ghost pepper honey and ghost pepper and pepper infused.
Yes.
Yeah, ABA, the ABA conference.
Good job.
Cool.
Yeah, for the spicy honeys, if it's award winning, that's nice, because it means it usually has a good balance where you can still taste the honey with the peppers. There are some honeys that are stronger than others. Infused, I mean.
We wouldn't want to be tasting the peppered honey, that's for sure. That's not my gig.
I love doing them, but I would say that those are usually some of the last categories that I judge.
Yeah.
So if you want to speaking of the last ones that are judged, it is something to keep in mind, especially when you're doing baked goods, like when you're entering the timeline, as far as once you enter in your exhibits, and necessarily it's not automatically, oh, they're going to judge it later that day. Right. It could be the day after, or 2 days.
So it's better to make sure that you have like everything very fresh, to keep all the aroma and
moisture.
Especially breads too, right?
Yes.
Cakes, bread,
or if you're using products that have dairy in it, I think that's something to pay attention to for some of the larger shows. The judging may be the second day. So if you're entering something that has ice cream, that's probably not going to last till the second day, even in a refrigerated bag, because it's not something where we're setting up these shows. It's not like we have a full kitchen with like a huge freezer in the back. So you do want to think about dairy products when we think about food safety and the entries that you have. If there's something that could turn, that's something to be mindful of.
Oh, okay. Wow. Very interesting. I didn't know like a lot of this information, so that was cool. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, or?
I don't know. Do people? I'm curious for the people that are in the chat. Has anybody ever been fearful of entering a honey show? Because I think that's something people are like, well, I don't know if I should enter because I'm not an expert, or I don't know if I would win. So I don't know if that's something that anybody in the chat has ever thought about entering a honey show and maybe had fears of doing so.
That would be me. I mean, I've never entered a show just because, well, first, I don't really go to I don't really have that many opportunities, but I would definitely be very intimidated by that. I mean, I just don't. I mean, I have I should enter the black jar. Like, I think the black jar is how people get into it or get their feet wet, maybe. But I would not would be so just not even, I mean, well, I'm a little more educated now after today, like after you guys talked about what was going on. But yeah, I would be, I don't know, black jar I would do, but
Well, even think about, like, for example, I showed you these 3 jars, which is an extracted honey. But for people who haven't won first place, you can do novice jar, which is 1 jar. And the worst case scenario of entering a jar is that you learn something, you know. And I would encourage, you know, you could go to shows, you could look around, but don't be afraid. I can't tell you what to do. I would encourage you to not be afraid to enter. The worst thing that would happen is that you would get some education. And and as judges, we hang around. Like when you're walking through the show, we want to talk to you. We want to give you education.
yes.
And it doesn't have to be your entries. You could ask any questions at all. We will answer any questions that you have.
The judges are all very, they love what they do. You know, everyone's there because they love the process. They love, you know, everything about beekeeping, products and everything. And it's nice to be able, I'm sure, you know, everyone on your channel also agrees to speak to other beekeepers and to really get new ideas and new tips. And everyone, you know, beekeeping, everyone does it a little different way. So then that's okay. But it's good to kind of talk to one another and see what else there is. And, you know, entering, it seems like this big scary thing, but really once you do it, once you kind of jump that hurdle, I think it's actually, it helps a lot, just your own beekeeping and other practices that you do, you know, with your hive management. And then maybe also, you know, for people that are in the business where they maybe sell honey and things, you know, if you do win, it's a big plus to be able to say, you know, I won first, second, third, fourth, whatever in this show. And then you get to see other people's products also to say, oh, that's a great idea. Oh, I didn't even know that this product existed. You know, maybe you can expand your own lineup, you know, at home with your products that you already currently use, but maybe you're not able to utilize because you weren't even aware of it.
Because we didn't even talk about the fact that there's lotions, lip balms, sugar scrubs. I mean, like there's categories of any type of body product.
I mean, furniture polish.
Furniture polish is another one, right?
Oh, with beeswax.
Yes.
Beeswax or propolis.
Yeah. Wow.
Tinctures.
So Melissa here mentioned, there's a comment here. Melissa says that she enters lots of items and has no chance of riveting, but she still gets the and I think that is so cool that, you know, where else do you compete where you actually get feedback on your entry? Like that is, you know, so you can learn and get closer to winning a ribbon or the category. Like that's phenomenal. I think that you get that feedback. I mean,
and I have to say that we also learn a lot from all the entries that be creative and bring to us whatever you passionate about, because every time we have like something that we never saw before, and it's amazing. And we learn a lot.
Yeah.
We're all learning together.
Grammy, Lisa, she goes to Grammy Hives and Homestead is her channel, but she mentioned spraying and polishing the jars. What's that all about?
Okay, so you can use, once again, it's just a product I like. I'm not a paid advertiser. But so when we're talking about the smudges on the outside of the jars, some people might use a little bit of like rubbing alcohol to start to wipe down their jars. Break
the oils. Sure.
Sure, because you break up the oils. What a product that I've found, once again, just it's Norwex, Norwex, and it comes in a 2-part polishing. So this is our environment. It's made so you don't have to use chemicals. But if you use hot water and rub down with the gray cloth, you come back afterwards and you, with the microfiber cloth, you just wipe it, and it's a window cleaning system. So these have been, I found these to be very, very helpful for wiping down the jars. Some people may use a little bit of hot water. Some people may use vinegar. Some people may use rubbing alcohol.
With things that smell, you do have to be careful.
Yeah. Right.
If your jar is open, maybe some of this.
Right.
Right.
transferring.
So, you should clean your jar before you fill it. Like, so if you think about it, you could even boil your jars and wipe them down as they come out and they're hot, right? Clean them and then pour your honey into it afterwards. And you want to wear gloves that are, you can use nitrile gloves or you can use cotton gloves. These ones are nice. These are like a more satiny. I got mine from Uline.
Or just a white.
No
Right,
lint,
correct.
right? Sometimes. So yeah, like if you think about, these are kind of like the way I would describe like a lady's glove or like a butler glove, right?
Yeah.
These ones are a bit more of a woven fabric. If you do use nitrile gloves, make sure they're not powdered.
Yes. Or you can just use, these,
Right.
which is actually very helpful if you're, obviously the judges are wearing them and everyone involved in the honey show are wearing these to make sure that we are not adding our fingerprint onto it. And we're very, very careful about carrying the jars. If you go to the shows, they're going slowly, carrying it really like this,
Why? Yeah.
parts away. So that way, because we really do want to see everyone do their best. But really, when you're cleaning and preparing things, just wearing these nitrile gloves is a great idea. So that way, once you're cleaning, 100%, and you're not going back and putting more fingerprints on it.
Wow. Cool. Yeah, I've seen them carrying the honey like that, and I assumed it was, that they weren't handling the glass part, but yeah.
Our stewards move very slowly. We want to make sure that none of the jars tip. If there were an accident, let's say somebody stumbled, we would mark that jar that if the honey was in the fill line, the person would not get a demerit for that or a mark because we don't know that we don't know that it was there before us. So in the off chance there was an accident, which would be exceedingly rare because we are very, people are like, they're walking like one step at a time, like very cautious. We take great care in making sure that exactly how the person gives us the entry is exactly how it will. That's why you'll never see us pushing them on a cart because that could jiggle. It is always very one item at a time.
Wow. Such care. Yeah.
Well, people spend we also recognize people spend a lot of time preparing. So we take that it's a matter of respect that we make sure that those items are placed on the table exactly as it's given to us by the exhibitor.
Sure. Nice. Oh, so cool. All right. I did notice that on the website that we had up, it does have the I can bring it up right now too. It does have the 1 second. The next honey shows, like where they are, which I thought was cool. Where is
you need to go back. You're in the reading. Yeah.
The homepage here. So we have Metro Atlanta Beekeepers, Alabama. Oh, we have some guys from Alabama. I think Grammy, Lisa is from Alabama. October 1. I wonder if she's going. And then Georgia's October 3rd. Upcoming. Oh, these are trainings then. Okay, Tennessee.
Well, usually trainings will be at shows.
Correct.
So it is common to link up the trainings with the shows.
Right. If you're there, you might as well. Yep.
So even if you're just attending, the conference or the convention, even if you're not ready to do the judging, just take a look at the show. Walk in, look around. Usually the first day when everyone's giving the entries, it's not open to the public. They'll have something saying what it is open to everyone to kind of walk around. And that's after the judging has taken place. So that way there's no accidents or anything. But after the judging has taken place, then it's open to the public of anyone in the show. So that's a great way to be able to walk around, get an idea of what other people are doing. And then now we can say, oh, maybe this looks interesting, maybe I'll enter into this one, or I never thought about this, or, you can kind of get an idea, an initial idea, I guess, of what it's about, if people are not ready to enter yet.
And I would encourage people to walk around the shows that you have in your states. And then if there is one show that is very, very impressive, I would say at NABI, the North American Honeybee Expo, we have the North American Honey and Beeswax Championship. I think last year it was over 1,000 entries.
I don't remember exactly that, but
it was a lot of entries, but the amount of just amazingly inventive, cool things that are presented. If you are going to NABI this year, please walk through the honey show because it is spectacular.
Cool. All righty. Yeah, there's some good feedback here in the chats about how interesting this was and that people really enjoyed it. Yeah. Nice. All right. Is there anything else that you want to add, or?
That's a tough one.
Don't be afraid to explore. Don't be afraid. Once again, I can't tell anybody how to feel, but don't be afraid of the honey shows. We are not here to bite. We are not here to.
We might be judging, but we're judging in a good way.
We're judging to educate.
Yeah.
Judging to level everybody up and to give knowledgeable feedback.
Yeah, sure.
So
I have a jar of honey here. I was looking at it.
And looks like Nancy is ready, right, for
Yes.
the novice?
Yeah. Are you ready, Nancy, to enter?
Yes.
There we go.
Cool. Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, I definitely now, I mean, you did alleviate some of the fears because I had no idea what you were looking, but having the glass be clean, having the honey be clean, like all of that, very interesting. I've had honey this year, maybe last year, that I was not extracting, I was pouring, I was jarring. And I took the lid off of the bucket, and I had poured it into where I actually, and then I left the room for a period of time, and I came back, and it smelled like flowers. I thought my husband got me flowers, and I'm realizing that didn't happen. He didn't leave the house, but here it was. The bucket was so from spring, was so floral. It's made the room smell like flowers. I loved it. I don't know if that's, but yeah, it was very, very pleasant.
So that's probably one you might want to consider for some of the body lotion or some of the, that might be a honey, if it's that floral and fragrant, you got to think about those things. Like, what do you like about your honey, and how can you allow the aroma or the influence of honey to kind of like shine through? I just thought of one other thing. If anybody starts to consider that they would like to enter into a honey show and you're not quite sure, Facebook does have a group. It's a honey show discussion group. People can ask questions there. So there is an opportunity that, like, if you want some questions or you're not sure about the rules, or what would they be looking for, if you had any of those questions, that's a discussion group where questions can always go into.
Wow. Okay. Right. So there's a Facebook group.
Yeah, it's a honey show discussion group.
Cool. All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much for coming on to my chat and talking about honey judging and all of those little intricate things that will make us maybe put more honey in the show, and maybe help us win, or definitely learn about our honey for sure. So thank you so much.
Excellent.
Thank you. It was wonderful. And I'll be sure to say hi at the next conference I see you.
Excellent.
Yeah.
See you soon.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Oh, that was so cool. I didn't know like a lot of that stuff. I did not know. So, do we still have folks in the chat here? It does look like we have some on. So I have, Bill from Shenandoah Bee Supply sponsors me, and he has some Apitabs that he'd like to give away. I can show you. It's a 10-pack here. If anybody's interested. So we're going to give these away. I think he has quite a few. So let's put, not yet. I have to get over into that program, but these are the Apitabs here. But he has some free packs that he'd like to give away. So let me go. Oh, thanks, Billy. I know. Isn't that interesting? Like, we go to all these conferences, but some of us have no idea what goes into a honey show. I mean, that was cool. So so I'm going to do the giveaway here, and the keyword, but I have to share it. So let's see. The keyword is going to be, just real quick, let's do API, all caps. And now I have to share it. Let me share it here. Okay. All right. Brian was schooling me on this. That's not it, is it? Next. Okay, ready? See what happens here. Oh, keyword, here we go. James. James. Oh man, that wasn't very exciting. Huh. I don't know where. Okay. That wasn't very exciting, was it? Okay. Try again. Let's do it again. Want to do it again? All right. Anybody else want to go in? Oh, this is nowhere near as fun. I got to talk to Brian. I got to talk to Brian about why this isn't fun and exciting and we don't get to see all the hoopla. All right. So what I want you to do is I want you to put in, that was kind of not all that fun. So what I want you to do is in the chat, or you can, how about we do this? Text me, here's my phone number. Text me your address. Text me your address, and then Bill will get a 10-pack sent out to you. So actually, anybody that wants one, he's giving them away. He's got cases of them that he can't do anything. So doesn't he wants to donate those to my show. So if you're interested in a 10-pack of Apitabs for free, text me and I'll send them out to you. All right. Is there any beekeeping questions here tonight? We kind of didn't talk about that too much, but if there aren't any questions, I'm gonna close the stream, and you guys have a good night, and I'll see you next Tuesday. All right. Thanks, folks.